Hello, boys. How are you?
Oh, hello,
How's it
hello.
going? Hello. Elvis, to your best. Hello.
Hello.
What? Oh, come on. All right.
That's your guys' thing. It's not my thing. It's your guys' thing.
What's our thing, Elvis? Let's develop a thing right now.
Can
I,
feel
the,
love.
Tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, from now on, whenever we see each other or talk to each other, you have to start with that, and that's going to be our greeting from now on.
I
all right?
absolutely.
So, do it again.
I can
I,
feel
the,
love.
tonight. All right. Well met. Both of you have been on the podcast before, but not together. And very, very quick introductions. We'll start with you, Elvis.
Oh, thank you.
We definitely didn't have a previous recording of this. Let's go through this very naturally.
Right,
Elvis, do your
It's great to be back on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm Elvis. I've known Sungwon for a very, very long time. And I've come to know Dave better over this very strange year and a half we just went through, although I don't know when this is going to come out. I don't know, I make stuff sometimes, and I like to infuriate my friends sometimes with puzzles, and we talk about Mario a lot. I don't know if we're going to talk about that today, but we'll see.
Okay, and Dave.
Hello, I am Dave. I work in the animation industry on a show called Craig of the Creek. I like to play a lot of video games, mostly like retro, really into retro things, like retro games, like anime, like music, stuff like that. And that's just about it. I don't know Sungwon half as long as Elvis, but it's been good. That's why I'm here. I love being on here.
Now, I guess one thing we can start with is, since Elvis did mention puzzles, and I don't know if we've talked about the egg hunts on the podcast before or the Let's Play channel. Maybe on the Let's Play channel, but I figured now he would be, because who was it, Jason, who, didn't know what it was or something? We were at Dim Sum, and I know Jason, was confused.
Yeah. Previous guest on the show, Jason
Or heard
Dwyer.
of them? Do you remember? Jason Dwyer, yeah. So I guess to just sort of explain it to Jason and to those of you who have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Basically, Elvis, whenever we would have Elvis cat sit for us, Elvis, being a psychopath, would set up these really elaborate Easter egg hunts in our apartment. One time we came and we just saw an egg, right? And then we opened it and it was a clue. It was like a whole puzzle. This clue leads to the next egg, and the next egg leads to the next egg. And there's 40 fucking eggs in our apartment. And then part of the fun is also, as you're just searching around, you find eggs as well. And, they all attach to other eggs. And the clues are really well done. It's nuts. It's quite frankly infuriatingly well designed. Usually the clues are just, there was one clue I always talk about that really, threw me for a loop, where it was just like this pattern. And I was like, what the hell does this mean? And I'm sitting on my couch, and I look over at my couch cushion, and it's that pattern. And I was like, oh my God. And I opened the couch cushion, and the egg's in there. Just moments like that scattered throughout this elaborate egg hunt. Not to mention, Elvis did a magnificent egg hunt for also previous guest David Kinney. I'll let you kind of get into I'll let you explain that one, Elvis. What was that? What did that entail?
At that point, the egg hunts had become kind of a thing. I had subjected you and Anne-Marie to several, kind of escalating ones. The first one was very, Mario Odyssey inspired, where it's hint art and there's just a bunch to find non-linearly. But then there was ones where it's more yes, this leads to this. It's more of a puzzle box thing. And then our friends David and Max were coming to visit, and I know David loves puzzles and this sort of thing too. So it's ooh, it'd be really fun to do an egg hunt For him, they were staying at an Airbnb, and just because I wanted to demonstrate the full extent of my power, I reserved the same Airbnb, unbeknownst to them, the night before, contacted the owner, and just so I could hide eggs where they were staying the day they arrived. They got there, and then you were there with them, right? You like filmed their reaction.
Yes. So just to explain how he did that, I got the address from them because they were not that far from me. So I was like very casually like, hey, where are you guys staying so we know where to drop you off? And then I was like, Elvis, here you go. Here's their address. And then he booked it. And then, yes, when we picked them up and then we drove them to the Airbnb and walked in with them, they had no idea what to expect. And as soon as they walk into the room, this is David and Max. Max has also been on the podcast as well, Max Kinney. And Max just goes, how is this possible? Like, wait, what? How did he do this? David is just like gleefully befuddled, like, what? You know, like, and Max was like, how is this possible? And that was literally the first thing he says. How is this possible? And I think I managed to capture some of it on video as well. Like they're just the aftermath. And so this Easter egg hunt spanned not only their Airbnb, my apartment, another friend's apartment, and the local playground. Like just like all over. It was nuts. I know he was even considering hiding eggs at Disneyland at one point, but I don't think he didn't go through with that.
That one ended up in my car.
Yeah. And then it ended with, because if you got every egg, which they did, there was a whole, like, final dungeon at Elvis's place with, like, an escape room, and then he ended up having to fight Elvis and smash and beat him to unlock the final treasure chest, which was filled with, like, all these Mario goodies. It was truly one of the most incredibly prepared things I've seen for someone just visiting out of town. I was like, this is Elvis. This is all what Elvis is about. Is going above and beyond for presentation. And yeah, that's the Easter egg hunts. For those of you who if we've ever like mentioned Easter egg hunts or anything, that is the story. It is pretty bananas. Dave, as just you've heard this story, but any reactions to any of that?
I feel insanely jealous because I would like a personalized Easter egg journey of my own because, you know, I love, like, since I like a lot of, like, retro games, you know, point and clicks are one of them, and it just sounds like one of these things is just a custom tailored point and click adventure game for another person. Sounds great.
You know, probably what you could do is like next time you are out of town or something, even if it's not Elvis watching it, like, you know, like you have a friend that we both know that like you could probably is probably going to be the one watching, right? But like, maybe Elvis could just be like, hey, can I pop in there for a sec? Just I will say also to listeners, like our bedroom was off limits. Like that was something that Elvis didn't even need to ask, right? Like he just knew, don't go in the bedroom. And he also actually didn't even go in my office either. It was just like any place that Elvis is welcome to as a guest, like, you know, including the bathroom, like living room, you know, dining area, kitchen, you know, anywhere that is kosher for a house sitter to go into. That was fair game.
Yes, it's definitely not the case that I hid eggs in your bedroom that you just never found. Obviously.
Oh boy. I look under the bed and there's 1,000 eggs just lying there. But yeah, no, you know, semi-joke but semi-serious. I'm like, Elvis should just make that should just be your job, like Easter egg hunts. Customized Easter egg hunts. And then it's like, isn't that just escape rooms?
A little bit.
Who knows? Next step. But yeah, another thing to kind of I guess go into with maybe like puzzles, right? Like just I know that both of, or at least Dave is a big adventure game guy, but you know, I know there's a lot of enthusiasm for escape rooms among us, and so what is it about certain types of puzzles that really gets your dick hard? What are your favorite types of puzzles or that sort of thing?
I really love like abstract like reasoning and like logic sorts of puzzles. Like I think some people might already know this, but we went through most of that Not Prawn game like over pandemic, and it was really fun because it was super stream of consciousness, like out of left field, like sort of solutions to puzzles. It's like, we were presented with a puzzle and we had to check the source code of a website, which brought us to a JPEG, and we had to look in the JPEG's like EXIF data, like it's like photograph details to find out the location, and the location was also like, tied into the answer. Like it's really great to like feel like Sherlock Holmes and like uncovering like a multi-layered convoluted puzzle. It's those are my jams. It's like chasing after that, like, but what if something completely different that is just like related by a thread, like those are my puzzle game jams.
Like I mentioned with the sofa cushion puzzle, like stuff where like you don't realize at first what something is, and then later on there's that that like, oh, that's what that means. I love that kind of those revelations. That to me, like, because, with a lot of puzzles, sometimes you look at something, you're like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. The trick is now to do it. Like, in a lot of escape room puzzles, like, I'll look at something and I'll go, oh, okay, I got to do this, this. But now it's just a matter of doing it. But when it's like, you go, like, wait, this thing on the desk, it meant this the whole time. Those moments are such, that's what I love the most about escape rooms, are those bursts of realization. And escape rooms are also fun in that we need to, and we've been talking about this for a long time, like create our escape room task force and do this. Like I've done escape rooms with groups, but I have not done one with either of you. But I think it would be extremely fun, especially without dead weight. But what I love about escape rooms is that all the puzzles are laid out, and while there is an order usually to how you kind of have to do some stuff, there is still this almost like open world feeling of discovery, we just gotta, usually it's a couple puzzles you start with, and you just gotta look around and find those threads, right? Like what in this big room are we supposed to do? There's a great sense of like excitement and discovery in the beginning that I also really appreciate. How about you, Elvis? As a puzzle designer, what are your favorite types of puzzles?
I know that, I guess the puzzles that get me hard, as you put it earlier. A lot of it, at least when it comes to, kind of the effort I put into like egg hunts or whatnot, or these Mario Maker levels I've made. A lot of it is like video game inspired, and even like the first egg hunt I did for my roommate who doesn't play video games. I like, part of it is just kind of like, can I capture the joy of like collecting a star in Mario, but in real life? Is there a way to do that? So I very similar to what you were saying before, I really love that, like, oh, you can just be looking somewhere and find anything. There doesn't have to be a specific order necessarily. But then what I love and what I try to do with these egg hunts, at least the more ambitious ones, is that, okay, you can find an egg and like that's fun and whatever. But then inside there's like a puzzle piece or some sort of like longer thing that as you find more eggs, or, in an escape room, as you're completing more tasks and getting more answers, it does become this big aha moment. And like that was the big like arc of the big David and Max egg hunt was, there was like 1 million eggs to find, but each egg had like 2 puzzle pieces of an actual puzzle. And then they had to put the puzzle together and also figure out this like rhyming riddle that they had to look at that completed puzzle in the dark after like shining a light on it, because it had to glow in the dark paint on it that spelled out the code that opened the treasure chest. And it's just like designing those layers. It's like, oh my gosh, it's great. Of course, when I'm done with these, I have to sleep for like 10,000 months. But
Oh, and just to suck Elvis's dick even more, like a lot of these puzzles he had to come up with on the spot that night because for the Airbnb, he didn't know what the Airbnb looked like or what was even available or even in there. So you're literally crafting these puzzles as you go, which is nuts.
Well, not even
that's nuts.
Even with that, there was like I had to get everything set 2 weeks beforehand because I had to hide stuff when you were out of town too.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
So like I went to Target to get the puzzle for like the thing, came back to your apartment, but then I was like, these puzzle pieces don't fit inside the eggs. Fuck, I have to go back to Target. And it was just like,
what did you do with the other puzzle?
I still have it for something in the future.
Oh God, you're disgusting. Yeah, no, that shit is absolutely bananas. When I first saw you again after pandemic, we were just hanging out, and then I think you had to do something real quick, like answer an email or something, and you were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, while you're waiting, there are 3 Koroks in the apartment. If you want to find them." And I'm like, this is the most Elvis ass thing ever. Like, oh, by the way, just casual puzzle. And then I was like, yeah, okay. And I just started walking around, and sure enough, there were 3 Koroks in pretty good hiding spots. It was like actually very satisfying to find the Koroks. Because, walking in, it's not immediately obvious. But as I'm searching, I'm like, oh, there's one right there. Oh, shit. Oh, wait. There's one. What is wrong with you? What is actually wrong with you?
So many things. The best part is I'm planning to move their hiding spots every time someone visits, so there's always more places to look.
Your place, and Dave, you haven't been to Elvis's place yet.
No, not yet.
We should change that at some point. But his place is really lends itself well for that kind of like hiding stuff, like being thematic, that sort of thing. There's something about the layout and what's in it that has that kind of feel. Now, your Easter egg hunts remind me of like how much I labor into like Pokemon trivias or the Pokemon RP that I run with some of our mutual friends. And now Dave, is there something with you that you're like, I put this level of obsession or time into?
I mean, games for sure, but I don't think in terms of like crafting or like crafting a puzzle. I don't think as much. I'm much more content being the person that solves the puzzles as opposed to the person that crafts it. Like
now, in terms of games, then, like what games are you like?
I think
like mastering or sort of that.
I mean, I think you and I share the same brain where it's like, if there is a list of achievements, then it's something that I have to obliterate. Like it's like drug, it's like if you present me with like a checklist, like of course I need to tick off all of these boxes for my own obsessive compulsive needs and wants, I'm currently going through Dragon Quest XI right now, and it's criminal how many easy to fill out lists there are in that game. It's like they'll just give you achievements for doing nothing, and I just have to compulsively get through all of it. Just feels good to finish a list.
So good.
Yeah,
because you can kill all the monsters in an area and then use those parts to craft all the weapons you've discovered and all the recipes, and it's fucking great. Now, are you like me in that, however, you have to, do you do 100% every game you play? Or does that be ones that you're like, oh, I really love this game? Because for me, it has to be that. I don't 100% in every game. But if it's a game that I really enjoy, then I will go through it and just destroy it. What's your stance on it?
I think generally, I would say that, I don't 100% every single game that I play. Yeah. But I would say the ratio is probably an 80-20 kind of split where most games I will try and 100%. And I think there's also an added layer of if I do like playing through like games like roguelikes or basically brutally hard like platformers and stuff like that, or games whose achievements are tied with finding the seams in the system and breaking them, like basically trying to like, how far can you jump outside of a level, or how can you it's almost borders on like speedrunning, although I've never done a speed run before, but I imagine that that's what it's like, where you see the system of a game and you try to identify the system and try to break it and see if the developer rewards you for breaking the system, or at least trying to, or at least like, just like some sort of nod that's like, I see what you're trying to do, and I applaud you for trying to do it. It's like, I see that you've noticed that the way that you jump allows you this many frames of floating before you can do an action, and since you've identified it, here's an achievement for it. Like that, those are like the biggest, like those are like the greatest like achievements. Like, all of us have played through Inside, right?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Inside was like a great example of a game like that, where it's pretty straightforward. It's like you run, you jump, you press a button to do puzzle, but a lot of the achievements in that game were tied to like, taking the system to its utmost limits and like jumping at just the right amount of time, jumping and reaching places where you feel like you shouldn't be able to reach, but with enough ingenuity you can make it there, and the developer like rewards you for it. Like Limbo is the same way.
Now, Elvis, is there a topic or question that you would like to bring up?
I wanted to ask. I wanted to challenge both of you. Because I think I know your answer, Sung One, but I don't know David's.
Okay.
But another like quality of mine, or one of the things about me, is that I have hosted a Tom Hanks giving podcast in the past, where I go over every Tom Hanks movie.
Mm-hmm.
Someone you've been on to talk about the Toy Story movies. I wanted to ask both of you, what is your favorite non-Toy Story Tom Hanks movie?
Oh,
that's a
Tom Hanks filmography. Oh man, and I'm talking to the Tom Hanks expert. Like, I'm intimidated now. I'm like, oh, my choice is like cool enough for you, sir.
There's almost no wrong answers here. Almost.
Almost.
Because I assume Toy Story is your main choice.
It probably is. So I'm gonna ignore the Toy Stories. He was in Borat too.
Yeah, there's actually since the pandemic, I've kind of soft retired the podcast. I haven't gotten back to do a couple of the movies that have come out since then. I'm just waiting until it feels like the right time.
Gotcha.
If anybody in the spectrum of is wondering, but yeah, he makes a cameo in that movie.
Oh, okay. I know you love Sully.
So much. As much as Angel does.
Another previous guest. Let's see.
I mean, Forrest Gump is an obvious answer. Like, I would say that my most, like the movie that I relate to him, like, when I think of Tom Hanks, I think of Forrest Gump. Like, that's the first thing that pops into my head. But I think, and, I love watching Forrest Gump, but I think the one where I appreciated him the most was in Big. I think I liked him in Big.
I still have never seen Big.
You have to come to a Tom Hanks giving one of these years.
Yeah.
I don't think that like this is I don't think his role in this was as good or like inspired, but I really enjoyed like A League of Their Own. Like watching him in A League of Their Own was also pretty good.
Incredible choice. That might be mine. It's between like Big and that and like a couple others, but yeah, A League of Their Own is just like an amazing movie, and it also has a great Tom Hanks performance.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like it already is a great movie, and Tom Hanks is there.
Yeah.
Underrated one, I think, Dragnet.
Dragnet.
I really like Dragnet.
So
I don't know how you feel about it. Yeah, it's goofy, but I think it's fun. I'm going through this. I do really like Forrest Gump, despite it being Forrest Gump. I really like Saving Private Ryan. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think just the spectacle of the opening, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but it did hit me. I really like Road to Perdition.
No, another fantastic one.
I have not seen Road to Perdition.
It's really good. It's got a great Paul Newman. Was that his last performance, actually? That or Cars or something.
One of those two, which Tom Hanks was also in.
Oh, that's right. Catch Me If You Can is really good.
Catch Me If You Can is so good. Have either of you seen That Thing You Do?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
That Thing You Do is he directed that one too and wrote it. That one is just fantastic.
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is not my favorite, obviously, but it was good, like surprisingly good.
Yeah, I love the weird little surreal sequence in the middle of the movie. That was delightful.
Yeah, yes, it was like unexpected. It was more interesting than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, if I had to pick one, it would probably be it's really dear to my heart. So Forrest Gump.
All right.
Like I grew up with it. Like I think it was like one of the first PG-13 movies I also ever watched when I was like little kid. So I was like, oh man, this feels so like I'm so mature, right? Like, and I don't know, like it was a movie that like my mom liked to watch as well because it's one of those kind of movies.
Yeah.
So I think it's gotta be Forrest Gump, but I think I have to rewatch some of these. The runner-ups are Saving Private Ryan, Road to Perdition, Catch Me If You Can. I think all those are better movies than Forrest Gump. But you're not asking me what I think is the best. You're asking my favorite.
Exactly. And Forrest Gump is like the iconic Tom Hanks movie, so it makes sense.
One I would also like to rewatch because I don't know if I've actually seen the whole thing, is The Green Mile. I never did. I don't know if I've seen all of it.
I think that's still his longest movie. That is a big one.
How about you, Dave? What's your favorite?
My favorite Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have to be Big. I think it would have to be Big or Philadelphia. I know, yeah, Big, Philadelphia, like League of Their Own. Those three. It's definitely one of those three.
Incredible choices, all.
Like
I haven't seen Philadelphia, but I need to.
And going back, like I didn't realize that. Like I forgot that he was in That Thing You Do. Like,
yeah.
Was that song huge, like, here in the States?
I think so. It was written by Adam Schlesinger.
Yeah, like, I was living in the Philippines when That Thing You Do came out, and that song was immense. Like, I feel like I heard it everywhere all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was like, around high school. That's when people were like, learning how to play guitar, and like everybody knew how to play That Thing You Do.
It's like the catchiest song I've ever heard. It's so good.
What is your favorite?
My favorite non-Toy Story Tom Hanks movie. I think I'm gonna have to go with Joe versus the Volcano. Have either of you seen it?
No.
Have you told me the premise of this one?
Potentially. It's the first Meg Ryan Tom Hanks movie. It's the best Meg Ryan Tom Hanks movie. I don't care what anybody says about You've Got Mail. This one's better.
Is this the one that's racist?
No, that's Volunteers.
Volunteers.
Well,
you were telling me there was one.
There is also a little bit. It's
Got it. There was one movie you were telling me that was super racist.
That one was Volunteers, which is still very funny, but not because of the racist parts.
Okay. All right.
No. I mean, there is, yeah. But Joe versus the Volcano is about just this super depressed guy who, like, decides to end his life by doing something good and sacrificing himself to a volcano to save, like, this tribe of people living on a small island. And as he goes throughout the movie, he keeps meeting Meg Ryan, who look in different characters, like the same woman in different places and different identities, and it's just so bonkers and weird. I feel like it has a depth that a lot of the other rom-coms he's been in don't really have. Big hearty recommendation for Joe versus the Volcano.
Can I ask you something, Elvis? As like, I've known about your Tom Hanks fetish for as long as I've known you, but Can I ask, like, aside from him being like your favorite actor, like, what is it about Tom Hanks that makes him, the gold standard for you? Like, why Tom Hanks is something I've always wanted to know.
It's interesting because, like, my love for something like Mario is like almost intrinsic to my core, whereas my love for Tom Hanks was something I kind of that kind of developed over time. The original like idea came from being in college and being the kind of, person who was like, well, I'm not going to go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so let's do something here for the people who aren't going home. And then we're like, oh, Tom Hanks Giving, what a great pun. Everybody likes Tom Hanks movies. We can just marathon those all days while we're making like a potluck of food. And it kind of started off as like this fun joke, but developed into this whole thing where I think Tom Hanks is really kind of, he's definitely, not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think there is a Tom Hanks movie that everyone will enjoy. And like in a weird way, I feel like he's kind of a perfect, at least his screen presence is kind of a perfect personification of the idealized America that has never really existed. And I think if you dig into some of his movies, especially The Burbs, with that in mind, you get a lot, you can really glean a lot of really interesting things about the culture at the time the movie was made.
So like, I have a thing, like, I have a lot of friends that are like Sonic the Hedgehog fans. And one thing that we do is that, like, when we see somebody, we affix, like, oh, that's a Sonic. That person, that's a Sonic. That person, that's a Tails. Oh, that's totally a Knuckles. Like, do you have the same sort of, like, Hankdar where you can see a person and, like, affix, like, a Tom Hanks movie? It's like, you're kind of a Forrest Gump, or you're a Toy Story, or you're a League of Their Own. Like, do you ever think about Tom Hanks in that sort of, like, Myers-Briggs, like, kind of way?
I don't think I've ever gotten there. I feel like
I think we need to go there.
I think we do.
Because you're not asking what you think their favorite one is. You're asking what
encapsulates.
If they were a Tom Hanks movie.
If they were a Tom Hanks movie, what movie would they be?
I would love to know this. Start with me. Who am I? Or which Tom Hanks movie am I?
Which Tom Hanks movie is Sungwon?
And Dave, as he's thinking, Elvis and I are what Sonic character are we?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Definitely want to know that.
If you know that already, you can go first and give Elvis some time because he's got to go come up with one for both of us.
I can't front like I really know Sonic that well. I'm friends with a lot of like Sonic the Hedgehog fans, but my own knowledge is admittedly not as. It's more on the Mario side than it is the Sonic because.
We do this shit all the time. So do Sonic first. Let's do Sonic first, and then I'm gonna hit you with another question.
You are easy. You're Sonic the Hedgehog. Like you're the protagonist.
What?
You're the protagonist. Like absolutely. Without
I'm Sonic the
you were Sonic the Hedgehog. Like
okay.
Not beyond the shadow of a doubt. There's no room for You're just Sonic.
Is this a diss?
No, it's not a diss. It just is. Like these personality things are just like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is Elvis then? Or I think I know the answer to Elvis.
Well, I have to look. I have to look over the cast of Sonic characters, and I would have to make my assumptions off of that. And I don't really know them so much, so I feel like whatever I say is like sort of like not really like I do not want to offend a Sonic fan with a shallow surface level like thing. But all I know is that you're Sonic. You're definitely Sonic. You're absolutely 100% Sonic.
Got it.
How do you feel about being Sonic, Sungwon?
How do I feel about it? It's interesting. I wonder if I can get a second opinion from a professional.
Ask a real ask a real Sonic fan. Pretty sure that they're gonna say you're Sonic as well.
Were you hoping for big?
Oh, absolutely. I think I would say. What do you think about Elvis? Are you still looking at the list?
Still looking at the list. I got a.
I have my Tom Hanks movies for you guys.
Okay, so think about that, and then Elvis. Okay, what Tom Hanks movie am I?
I almost don't want to say because it's like it's so good, but you are fucking Toy Story.
Wow.
I can't think of it, yeah, you embody Toy Story. I mean, not only is it, he's voice acting, which obviously is a big connection, but you are all about playing, and that's you love board games, you love games, you're just pure fun, and that's Toy Story.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
And it will be the nicest thing I ever say to anyone. So
to me, that totally lines up with Sonic. That absolutely lines up with Sonic. It's a Toy Story is a protagonist of a movie. It's a blockbuster hit. That's just it. Just is. It's like it's something that you measure everything else to.
Dave, you are Turner and Hooch without a doubt.
Turner and Hooch.
Have you ever seen Turner and Hooch, Dave?
Yes, I have seen Turner and Hooch.
How do you feel about this?
I think it's good. Wait, am I on the whole, am I a Turner or am I a Hooch? Is this
No, you're not.
The whole movie.
I'm just the encapsulation.
You're not one of those characters.
Yeah, I'm just.
I would not say someone is Woody. He is Toy Story.
Yeah. Got it.
You are not Turner or Hooch. You are Turner and Hooch, because I think you just have it's one of the most 80s movies out there. That's such a. We always go about this is such a Dave movie, and
that's a prerequisite, right?
Yeah.
What was the joke I had? I was a Dave movie recommendations. Oh, what, you haven't seen Pickle Dick or Pickle? Oh man, it's got Dan Aykroyd and it's so good. Let's watch it. We gotta watch it. It's classic. And then we watch it. Oh, it's more racist than I remember.
No, it's the worst time to take a drink during this whole podcast.
Fine, we're never gonna watch Short Circuit.
Short Circuit's so good.
I was gonna watch Short Circuit with you guys, but never mind. A paragon of racial.
Oh no!
harmony.
Listen, I loved. What was it called? Trading Places.
Trading
Right?
Places.
Yeah.
Listen, it was a great movie. Just it just had a spot here or there, but
product of its time.
A product of its time. So okay, do you have a character for Elvis, a Sonic character?
I mean, I was looking through it, and it feels like my closest approximation would be an Eggman. He feels like you would be definitely like a Robotnik. Definitely a Robotnik type. And multiple people can be. It's these are like zodiac signs. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be one person is only one thing. So while I would also think that Elvis, I mean that somebody like Wilco could be an Eggman. I think Elvis, you definitely fall into the Eggman. Can you guys guess who I am?
Aren't you also Eggman?
I don't think so. I feel like a lot of people have also agreed, or I've gotten this. I've asked Sonic, my Sonic fan friends, and they've all unanimously said that I am blank.
Oh, so it's okay. The Sonic experts. Now, how obscure are we talking?
Not obscure.
Are we talking mainline?
I mean, if it's to me, then it if they're telling me that, then it can't be obscure because I don't really have any comics knowledge. I don't really have a lot of cartoon knowledge. It's just mainline.
Are we talking adventure characters?
Not he is an adventure, but he's not exclusive to adventure.
Oh, so we're talking core cast.
Yeah, core cast.
Huh. I mean, admittedly, I'm not a big Sonic person, so maybe I don't have a grasp on.
I feel like you're trying to lead us towards a Knuckles, but that's not who I would have picked for you.
Knuckles?
Is it? Do people say
no?
People say Knuckles?
No.
Okay.
Nobody has ever said Knuckles.
It's gotta be Sonic or Robotnik then.
Yeah, because Knuckles is just the himbo, right?
Yeah,
he's just
Well, he's also such a loner type too, which Dave is definitely.
Wait. Is it Metal Sonic?
No, it's not Metal Sonic.
What?
There's only one other person to pick at this point. It's not Sonic.
They say you're a Tails?
Yeah, I'm 100% a Tails.
You're a Tails?
How are you a Tails?
It's just I'm a helpful guy. I'm a nice helpful guy.
Tails is a little bitch.
Yeah, he's little brother entirely.
See, spoken like a true Sonic.
Yeah, Tails is a little bitch.
Like I would have gone like, I don't know, Vector or something.
Yeah, I interesting. I mean, do you like Tails?
Yeah, I love Tails. When people say that, I'm like, it's good. Like he's good. He's just like he's a helpful guy that has to clean up after all of Sonic's messes. You know.
I'm glad you like it. If someone said I was Tails, I would feel.
Yeah,
really
I'd be
bad.
like, what the fuck did you say? Like,
I mean, personally, in the games, I like playing as Tails over Sonic because he can fucking fly.
But have you played? But have you? I mean, no, you've been watching like Sonic Adventure, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he just like this? Like, I'm a 5-year-old. Oh no! Like, isn't that just all Tails is?
The positive qualities of Tails are, yes, he's very helpful. He's super fucking smart. He eventually can pilot mechs. And the Sonic Adventure, his whole arc is about becoming, like, self-confident. But those are still things I wouldn't ascribe to you, Dave. I mean, you are super smart and cool enough to pilot a mech, but...
I would say that, like, personal character arcs are, like, like, I'm talking about, like, archetype. It's like who Tails is in, the lore of Sonic Adventure, I think doesn't really apply as much. But, like, what is the genetic makeup of a Tails? A helpful, proficient person that lets, that lets their friends that are shinier, like, take that light.
I will say, as another way it works for me, is that, Tails is born with a second tail, which makes him unnaturally good at things that he wouldn't be without that gift. And I feel like you, Dave, are like preternaturally good at almost every game, even stuff you don't have any knowledge of. And it's just like this gift you have. So in that way, I can see you as a Tails.
Well, yeah, and also, to be completely honest, like, my own Sonic headcanon is strictly in, like, the Genesis games. Like, Sonic Adventure is, like, a cool, I know that it's a lot of people's gems, and I'm probably saying something very incendiary right now, but Tails to me is the Tails from the original Genesis, like, Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and also Sonic and Knuckles.
I understand where you're coming from now. It's like how, when I was a kid... Playing as Luigi was cool because he was green and different.
Exactly,
yeah,
right? Exactly.
But now,
playing as Luigi now, it's like, no, I'm not Luigi.
Yeah.
I'm not a weenus.
I'm not a beta.
I'm exactly. Yeah, I'm not a beta weenus. I understand. Yeah, Tails when you're a kid, like in Sonic 2, it is cool to playing as Tails.
Yeah.
Like you're right. Yeah, like he is the cool alternative to Sonic. But now he is the weenus. I understand now. Okay. Now I have a couple questions still. One, so you're not a big Sonic person, but what's something where you are an expert on it, and then you can give us like you are this. What is something you were like I can most definitively ascribe oh, you are this character, you are this, or it doesn't have any characters even, but whatever.
Ooh,
you got anything?
You'd have to ask somebody else that while I pour over it. I know that it exists, but I can't think of it.
Okay, while you think about it, my stereotyping of your movie recommendation, like a Dave movie, right, which is an '80s movie I've never heard of, that I've always like, oh, I should have seen that, and he's like, you haven't seen it, and then it's really good, but it's also a little racist. What are like, if we had to kind of do that for all our movies, like the movies that because for those of you who aren't aware, we have a movie night where we watch movies that we take turns recommending a movie, and that the others haven't seen, we watch it. If you had to like stereotype the type of movie that Elvis brings or I bring, and this is the open question to everybody, what would it be?
Including the commenters, so be sure to leave that in the
exactly.
comments.
Yeah. You know that you have so much data. Like for me, Elvis would be like pure classics, right? Like the Jaws, the Back to the Future, right? Like beloved Hollywood institution icons. Or this movie was weird, so I liked it. That is an
Name one.
I don't know, a little Beatrice at dinner. Like,
How is that not
the
an
ending. Oh, the ending. We already argued about this. Just like, but it was weird. So it just that's me making fun of you. No. All the points you made were very valid.
I know.
We talked about the ending. So if you had to generalize what the movies that I bring. Or that I like or whatever. Well, how would you generalize them?
To reduce it in much the same way you did for me, it's shooty shooty bang bang movies.
I do love shooty bang bang movies a lot. Any other generalizations you can think of, or are we sticking with shooty bang bang, which I like that.
For me, and I'm sticking to like movies that you've recommended so far. Like
Sure.
It evokes the clearest picture. For me, it has to be a Korean movie. Like it feels like I feel like it has to be a Korean movie, and not just because you're Korean, but like I feel like it feels like you rep like yourself and like even your culture to an extent, but without like bashing people over the head with it. Like I feel like the two things that I was thinking of were like either Snowpiercer. I think Snowpiercer is probably a really good example, or Train to Busan. Like those two movies, like feel like really good. Like these are Sungwon core movies where it's like it's accessible. Like there's like a lot of like good action, etc. But it's like not shallow at the same time. It says something. Like it has a point. There's a clear like beginning, middle, and end. It's not like it's not a cop out. It's just like it's just strong stats all around. Like it's a movie that like is well planned and you can't really complain about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you had to generalize each other's movie picks, how would you generalize each other's?
I would say something like and I'm not even sure how you feel about this. The first thing that came to mind was Army of Darkness.
Ooh.
Because like Army of Darkness, I feel like it hits like old classic movie and the campy horror, like and it also has it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's like it seems like all three of those things like work in harmony, and at the center of that Venn diagram is Elvis. It's like something that is a classic but can poke fun of itself. At the same time, like it feels like a solid, but it's also like a really fun movie to watch. That would be my pick for Elvis.
Okay. And Elvis, how would you generalize Dave's?
I'm looking through the list of all of the Dave picks, and obviously there is that, 80s movie, like that's the joke to go to. But I feel like, Dave, you have brought the most varied types of movies to the movie night. You've got the kind of screwball 80s comedies, but you've also got stuff like Hedwig and the Angry Inch, there's Jesus Christ Vampire.
Oh, no. I was like, I wonder if I can get through this without that coming up.
But shit like Sunny and Waterboys, and I think the common theme I'm seeing throughout those is like it's almost like every movie though is delightful. It brings this kind of surprising joy with it.
I think what I
except for Jesus Christ Vampire.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say what I think like almost all of Dave's movies bring is, even though they're varied in genre, there's like an emotional earnestness.
Yeah.
To them. Wow, Ernest Goes to Hell.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. The most emotional of them all, but like, yeah, there's always an earnestness because like I know you're very anti bullshit, right? Yeah. You're like, I feel like this movie's making me feel, but with these movies like Sunny, with Waterboys, with Hedwig and the Angry Inch, it's like they're very unapologetically earnest, and that's something that I think is also very much a Dave a Dave pick. Now, have you thought of the medium that you can ascribe personalities to us for?
Still thinking about it, because like it's I mean, the easiest choice would be like, like video games, like a NES game or like a Super Nintendo game. But before we head into that, I was thinking that I had if you guys had to self-prescribe a movie for yourselves, what would you do? You guys already have a movie that, if you needed to tell somebody, if you needed to give somebody that doesn't know you, tell them just watch this movie and you'll get a pretty good idea of what I'm all about, or what my deal is. How can I get you up to speed the fastest? This is the movie that you need to watch. Can you guys think of a movie that you would prescribe to another person?
I think it's still got to be Hot Fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got shooty shooty bang bang, right?
It does.
Shooty shooty bang bang, but also hilarious script. It's one of the funniest, sharply written scripts. Great performances, great callbacks, great even character arcs. It's got everything that I really enjoy. So I think Hot Fuzz. How about you, Elvis?
There's a lot of things I would pick, but I think it's going to come down to, I think the one that will get you the most familiar with my sense of humor, and that's going to be Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
Oh, that is you. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great.
What's yours, Dave?
It's a toss up. I would say that the most effective would be Death to Smoochie. I think if what is Dave, or what is Dave all about? Here, watch Death to Smoochie and you'll get my sensibilities down to a T. But I did have a runner up, and that was maybe it's a little more controversial, because this is no longer it's a movie that hasn't really aged well, but Big Trouble in Little China.
That's such a Dave movie.
It's
I've never seen it.
It's full of just it's such a farcical, it's incredibly racist. It's Chinatown stereotypes, but the action is so good, and the set pieces are great, and it just feels like Looney Tunes at some point. It feels like mixing Indiana Jones with Looney Tunes, and just putting a whole washing of how America thought of Asia at the time, circa 1980s, all over it. So in order to enjoy it, you sort of have to suspend your just be okay, this is definitely a cheap late 80s movie, but it's really satisfying to watch. It hits really good for me. Hits real well.
While we're still on the topic of movies, obviously going to be time to think about your thing, yeah. Dave. Going over the movie night, what we've seen. I would like to know, and we've kind of talked about our favorites that we've seen, but I would also be interested in least favorites. What were some let's say maybe 2 or 3 of your favorites of stuff that you haven't seen before, and then maybe 2 or 3 or it doesn't be 2 or 3, but just maybe a couple that you're not my thing, but and we can kind of talk about it. You guys up for that?
I wish we had a list.
Sure.
I wish we had a big list of all the movies.
See, I guess I'm unfair because I write down all the movies.
I've got a list too, Dave. What's your problem?
Oh God.
Yeah, you're the loser. Let's see. I would say for me, if I had to pick 3 movies I loved the most that I had not seen before, it'd be Shin Godzilla. I loved Shin Godzilla. That just hit so many. It was like Veep, the monster movie. It was fantastic. One Cut of the Dead, which I just can't stop showing it to people. I showed it to Jay. He loved it. Just fucking loved that movie so much. Just a joy. For those of you who haven't seen it, don't look up anything. Just watch One Cut of the Dead. That's great. And the third, we've watched a lot of great stuff. But I think it's got to be Jesus Christ. No, it's gonna be. What would be my third? Oh, there's so many. One of the best experiences was Arachnophobia.
Yes.
Like, Arachnophobia was just, and I mean, I really like the movie too. But is that my favorite movie? It is a great movie, but let me just double check. I mean, and also I'm just gonna start. This will make me jog Dave's memory as well. Like just some of them that I really enjoyed. Duel was that was also a great just experience. Gremlin, it was also nice. Like I feel like my weak point is a lot of like pre-90s movies, right? Like 80s, especially 80s, like all this stuff. Like all right, Gremlins is 80s or 90s?
80s, 1984.
80s, yeah.
Gremlins 2 is just tipping into the 90s.
Yeah, so just the Gremlins was just something I just never seen. I'm glad I watched it. It was really, really great. And I guess my third would be. It's tough. We've watched a lot of really good stuff, but I think it's gonna be
Con Air, right?
Con Air is up there.
That was a really fun. It might be a toss up between. I'm going to say Arachnophobia just because of the experience. Like we just had such a good time watching it. Like
I've said this to you guys like 1,000 times now, but since watching that with you two, it's like it's now become my favorite movie to show people.
Yeah.
And I bought it like right away on DVD. It was like, okay, next time I have the chance, I'm going to just show this to anybody else.
How about either of you? Got a 3 or 2 that you were like, ooh, these are my favorites of the new stuff we watched.
Similarly, One Cut of the Dead, incredible. That's a new favorite movie of all time. And I think my favorite Sungwon pick might still be Castaway on the Moon.
Oh, that's such a good
one. Like, I think Train to Busan
man.
would probably beat it, but I had already seen it before. Castaway on the Moon was so good.
Yeah, it's hard for me to zero in to commit to just one, but I will say for each of you, like I would see the 2 movies that have been the best, like one, like Arachnophobia for sure. Like the experience of watching Arachnophobia, like it was great. Like I felt like I was like 12 again, like watching something behind like the covers or something, or like Dark at Night. Like it really evoked a time. And to that end, I would say that my favorite movie that you recommended, Elvis, is Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I was considering
Swiss
that one
Army
too.
Man was like that definitely like, and this is this is. I don't like this movie anymore, but the first time I watched Garden State, I was like, oh wow, this is like, I felt like it brought me to a place where I was like, oh, this is a movie. This is a critical, this is movie and this is art, and it makes me think things about art and my spirit, and watching Garden State again, it's way less like enlightening, but Swiss Army Man, like it put me in that same place where you could make an argument that like it's like kind of hokey at the end, but like the journey was really great, or like how everything unfolded was like good, and like it feels like it's a movie that is there for people that are in a certain place. It's meant to be like some sort of like a lifeline or an ankle or an anchor to people that that need it. Like it's very it feels like it's a very considerate movie, and a very like a very caring movie, like a compassionate movie, like something that's very thoughtful for its like viewers. Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay.
And for your Sungwon, Castaway on the Moon, like by far, like that was great. I enjoyed that. Like it's so hard to choose between Snowpiercer, Train to Busan, and Castaway on the Moon. Like those 3 things were sticking out to me, but it has to be Castaway because there's just so much heart in it. It's so real. But on the other side of things, the other pick that I had was A Town Called Panic.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I cannot deny just how like like, you know, you watch something and then you see patterns and then you predict things. Like, I feel like that's how human nature works. I feel like I couldn't do that at all. Like for A Town Called Panic, like it felt like it was like oppressively trying to subvert anything that I, like, you know, wanted to predict about the movie. It was just like, yep, well, here, nope, we're doing this now. This is like, it's got like the energy of like an insane person like pulling you by the hand through like a carnival, you know. It was great. Like, I really enjoyed watching A Town Called Panic.
Yeah. Now let's go the other way though. Like, do you guys have any of like the least favorites? This was where I think it would be interesting.
I need a list.
Unless we don't want to go down that route.
I mean, Jesus Christ, vampire.
Let's get it out of the way.
Let's just get out of the way. Jesus,
sweet. We're good.
Jesus Christ, vampire hunter as well. Listen, it's a safe space, so we're allowed. We're allowed to bring whatever we want. But yes,
it's a safe space. Like, this is a fucking podcast. Okay, it's a safe space.
It was, you know, there was value in it. There was value in it, but overall, it was a little a little dull, maybe. But yeah.
You know, I should have vetted it. I should have given it another watch before.
No, that's okay, because
it was great.
It's good to have like one where we're like,
one boner.
Well, can't be worse than Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. But yeah, I guess I can start. Like, for me, like, there hasn't been, besides that one, they've all been good. I don't regret watching any. Even Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, I don't regret watching, honestly.
Of course.
Like, it gives me, like, you know, watching that movie, it was like, you know, sometimes someone shows you a YouTube video from like 2012 that was dear to their heart, right? And, you know, at the time, I'm sure it was like, oh my God, this fucking killed. But you're watching and you're like, okay, like, you get it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, or like an old meme. You're like, okay, I get it. I understand why, you know, it hasn't aged well, but I get it. I think if I had to pick an Elvis one, it might be... Can you guess?
I'm guessing it's going to be Beatrice at Dinner.
No. What? I liked that movie.
I didn't think you disliked it, but that would have been my guess. Instead of that, PMOC.
Oh, did you bring PMOC? I liked PMOC, actually.
I like PMOC, but I always forget we watched it.
Yeah. I will say it was Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like... Yeah, like, I'm glad we watched it, but I think we talked about this after we watched it. I was like, I was kind of more into it in the first half, because I did not expect the twist, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of turned into like, Paul Rubens is the Roman. I was like, okay, I've kind of been lost a little bit here, but I did still overall, you know, it became like, it kind of started. I was like, whoa, where's this movie going? And I was like, oh, it's going into fun kids 80s movie or whatever, 80s 90s movie. I was like, okay, yeah. So like, not a bad movie by any means, but probably the one that, like, I was like, oh, okay.
I think PMOC was probably my pick, just because I really and I'm really conflicted, because, you know, I feel very similarly about, like, you know, like a lot of like Philippine cinema. It's like, you know, we need to give, you know, as much, like, you know, you gotta let them grow. But I think on paper, PMOC was, you know, it was I think the novelty wore off, you know, a little bit sooner than it was meant to. Like, I loved seeing like all the set pieces. I loved seeing the movie play out, and, you know, it was just like a fun romp. But like, I think it sort of fell flat by the end.
It kind of overstated.
Yeah. I feel like if the movie was like 20 minutes shorter, like, you know, it would have been just fine.
I agree with you, but I think I liked it more than you did. But yeah, I could see that. It definitely needed some trimming.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like a very specific situation of like Uncanny Valley, where it looks so close to things that I'm familiar with. like in movies and movies that I'm familiar with, that like and I would still like recommend it. Like I would still be like, hey, you guys should watch this movie. But it's so hard because like this was like a movie night where there were so many bangers. It's like if you had to pick a movie that wasn't a banger, like it's like,
yeah, it's
like
hard.
Bottom three, like it sort of presupposes that we don't like it, but it's still no, these are still like easy C pluses or Bs of movies, which is like very respectable,
Yeah, I agree. There hasn't been a movie that I hated,
Yeah, absolutely.
or even strongly disliked, or even disliked really. Maybe Jesus Christ, but I didn't dislike it. I was just more like, okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, to that end, like, and again, like, this is not even something that, I liked the movie, but I feel like I was engineered to get, like, I feel like Llewyn Davis, I enjoyed very much, but I feel like it didn't hit me as much as I thought it would. It's like
interesting.
because
Okay.
like I wanted I really like it might be a case where like I hype myself up too much, and I already have like a lot of like personal like assumptions about like what a Coen Brothers movie should move like or should act like or how it should hit, and I feel like I sort of like psych myself out to that end. But it's a great movie. It's like a great movie. Like I wouldn't call it like a flop at all. It's just like I was expecting it to hit a place, and it did a great job, but it didn't exactly hit where I thought, and that's due to my own expectations, and not really due to it, being. It's not really any fault of the movie.
Gotcha. Yeah, I liked that one a lot, but I can see where you're coming from.
And that's it. I liked it.
I liked the mood it put me in. It put me in a very just like it's a kind of a grim, a grim mood, but. I dug it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I consider it the antithesis to the Muppet movie.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Elvis?
Well, Jesus Christ for Dave. I've been trying to think which one of yours sung one, and it's been tough. I think it comes down to just the one I responded to the least, which actually I think is the first Raid. I didn't dislike it at all, but it didn't hit the same way as the rest.
Even
of
the Raid 2 hits way harder, I think.
Yeah.
The Raid 2 is like spectacle. Like I kind of felt the same way watching the first Raid. Like I still really like it, but hard to go back to it after Raid 2, which is like like pulpy, very like we're going over the top. Whereas the Raid is a little like, and especially now, it's like. Oh, a bunch of cops, huh?
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean,
boy, but
I would watch the Raid again anytime, just because.
Oh, I love both movies. I love them, but
I mean, like I'm in that movie. That guy.
That's right. Yeah, you're Mad Dog.
Yeah, like I will watch that just for Mad Dog. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't have that problem with like the Raid just because my expectations for it is strictly like I just want to see like a bunch of people flip around and shoot things, and to that end, like it gives me exactly what I want.
If let's say Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter is off the table, it's too easy.
It's really easy.
Like if I had to think of one that's like for Dave, this is I'm trying to see if there's a better choice than this.
Jaws. Underwhelming.
Oh man, Jaws was fucking great. For those of you listening, I had never seen Jaws, and it. For a little indie movie that nobody's heard of, pretty good. No, it was great.
It's
Very
just
enjoyable.
a remake of Duel. I mean, come on.
Yeah. This is a movie that I enjoyed, but I think it was. I think the answer for me is going to be Waterboys.
Oh, I can see that.
Waterboys was one that, yeah, like I liked it, but sometimes we talked about this, I think, as well. Some Japanese films can get a little too, what's the word? Kind of like broad in their delivery, right? Kind of like and we kind of talk about, it's almost like they're like a stage play,
absolutely.
right? Of oh, just such broad comedy, such broad delivery, like whoa, almost like the equivalent of watching like anime characters fall down, right? And part of me is like, I've seen this in like I've watched other Japanese movies, and Japanese, like, it reminded me of like the Great Teacher Onizuka live action show, like very like, it's full of heart, but kind of like a little campy in like its delivery. And I think in this case, it like, it was a little much at times, but I will say you're right. The ending sequence is fantastic. So overall, it's not. I'm glad I watched it. I think it's a good movie, but if I had to pick a Dave one, I think it'd be Waterboys.
I totally get that.
But that's good.
I totally get that. It's sort of like, the beginning is solid for me. The end is amazing for me. The middle, you feel like they're sort of like searching of like, what sort of gags can we like litter the middle of the movie with, what sort of fun like formulaic gags can we cram in there? And it feels like, it could have gotten to the end like a lot quicker. Like even when we were like rewatching it, I was like, it kind of drags in the middle. It's it feels like it's not like it feels like it had like some like hot pepper and it like fizzled out, and I was like, whew, it's been an hour, hasn't it? It's got like that sort of feeling, like but when it reaches the end, like for me, like I'm like, okay, well, please have a bunch of people dance for me. Like, I will take these dancing boys and love it. It's
a great payoff, honestly. Like it is worth the journey. How about you, Elvis? If you had to pick one besides Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter?
There's a lot I like about it, but I feel like it's just got too many strikes against it. So I'm going to say Trading Places.
Oh, what strikes?
Yeah. It was so political. Let's make a joke about a gorilla raping the character. That's so funny.
Yeah. It was.
Let's celebrate the stock market right when crypto is such a huge thing.
Now, had you seen the movie before?
No, I hadn't actually seen the movie before.
Oh, okay. Like I enjoy the movie. I think part of why it's not the bottom is also just we've gotten a lot of great meme enjoyment.
That's true.
There's a scene in the movie where Dan Aykroyd is sadly staring in from like outside in the rain at a bunch of like rich people inside, like eating like a meal with Eddie Murphy, and we've definitely had a lot of fun just like turning that into a meme.
You're so kind you're so kind for not going more into detail.
Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. But I mean, overall though, the movie night has been great, and we're and actually, this will be a while later, but we'll actually probably still be in it. We did this interesting thing where we kind of went, well, all right, can we do this? Like, we switch off, like starting with I picked an A movie, and then Dave's gonna pick a B movie, and titles, I mean, and I was gonna pick a movie that starts with C, and I actually went through and made a list of A through Z, all movies that neither of them have seen, that either I would really recommend or have not seen myself and I'm interested in. So that'll be something that maybe, who knows, maybe on the next time we talk, we can kind of talk about where that went. Mm-hmm. But we started with Assassination last night, and just a fun, rollicking time. Assassination's a Korean film, and highly recommend it.
I can't wait to play my V movie.
Oh boy.
Hey, that's my V movie, and we're not gonna watch it.
Yeah, you're not gonna play it, coward.
Really, it's more of a Q movie when it comes down to it.
Oh my god! Now we have to go into it a bit. So, oh boy. So, what they're talking about is there's this movie by Takashi Miike that like had really kind of scarred Elvis when he watched it.
It started from like, we've done before we did the alphabet challenge. We've done like, spontaneous, like, oh, can you come up with like a horror movie for Halloween or a Christmas movie for Christmas, or do you have a French film nobody's seen? Let's do 3 of those. And be thematic.
Oh yeah, what were our three? Well, let's kind of go into those. Like our 3 French ones were I Did a Town Called Panic. What did you guys do?
I Lost My Body.
That's right, yeah, which was good.
Jackie
and Dave's
Jackie and the Kingdom of
Oh, yeah. Jackie and the Kingdom of Women. That was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very solid 3. I like how we were both like we were all joking. Have you seen Amelie? As if that's like it's such a snobby joke. Like there are people who haven't seen Amelie.
And it's a really good movie, but it's like, have you heard of this movie, Amelie? It's so good.
Have you heard of this movie, Frère Jacques?
Our Halloween films were what was mine?
I think you did Train to Busan.
Oh, Train to Busan, and then you guys did was it Jacob's Ladder, right?
Yeah, and One Cut of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. My favorite.
That's right.
My favorite
Christmas,
was
I brought Muppet Family Christmas. What was
my favorite was like the Thanksgiving thing. Like I thought that was a great theme where.
We did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's like
Right, so Elvis brought Duel. Yeah, I did Train to Busan. That was Train to Busan, wasn't it?
You did Snowpiercer for Trains.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. I've got 2 train
Dave
movies.
Dave did Con Air for Planes, which was perfect.
And then we finished with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Oh,
that was great.
That was really good. Yeah, and then Christmas, it was Trading Places. I did Muppet Family Christmas and Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. And what did you bring? Was it Gremlins?
Gremlins, of course. The best Christmas movie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But there was also like a half-hearted Elvis month that we did, because I started off with Gremlins 2 on my birthday. And then you brought Windy City Heat, and now I'm feeling kind of insulted because it was Jesus Christ Vampire from Dave.
Windy City
I'll make it up
Heat.
to you someday, Elvis.
What a fucking...
I better.
Elvis and I are allowed one absolute stinker. One absolute...
Visitor Q. That's it.
Okay, so Visitor Q. Let's go back to that. Yeah, basically, it was a movie that scarred Elvis when he watched it. And we didn't even want to tell Dave what the title was, and then it slipped. And now it's become this running joke of, let's pull up Visitor Q, which, for those of you who are curious, oh boy, I haven't even seen it, but it's got some real... oh boy, I don't want to watch this kind of material in it. That would not be, I think, be a good choice for a movie night. But now it's become just this.
It's become a meme itself.
It's just become a threat. It's just become a threat. Threat of Q, like.
Yeah, it's the nuclear option basically, because that was the thing where it was like, oh, we could do a Takashi Miike challenge, and I didn't know that these guys hadn't seen The Happiness of the Katakuris, which is delightful. So I was like, well, shit, if you pull out Takashi Miike, I've got one, but you're not going to want to see it. And I had told someone about this movie before, and it's been like almost 15 years probably since I've seen it, so it might, and like, I don't know, I might have a much better stomach for it, but it's not the kind of movie where it's like gruesomely violent. It's just kind of like unpleasantly nasty, and kind of nasty for its own sake. Like we were comparing it to a Serbian film, which I haven't seen, but I think is probably worse. And Dave, you have seen that.
I think like well, I mean, from my perspective, it was like Elvis going like, I've got a film, but so you better watch out. If I play this film, you're not gonna like it. And like apparently, finding out that neither me or someone had seen it, I was like, come on, let's go watch the movie. And then someone was like, oh, I remember you telling us about this. No, we can't ever watch this movie. Like, we will never watch this movie. I was like, yeah, we're never going to watch. Yeah,
which today was a
you're
challenge.
presenting
it's
a
like,
big red button, and I'm like, you're just going to close. Yeah, you're just going to close this box.
Yeah.
We're not going to push this after all the hyping. Like you're gonna cock block me like this,
right? But then I explained it was like, it's not like a gory movie where it's like, oh, it's fun to watch, like how hard to watch it is. No, it's like just unpleasant. Like not in like a fun way.
It's the pain Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like not like and so I was like, I'll probably step out if you decide like to, because you know the rule of movie night has always been like you have to enjoy or at least like the movie, right, or think it's worth watching, like because you mentioned another movie that's like, you know, hard to watch but climax, right? That like I'm actually interested in seeing that one. Like from you told me a little bit about it. But that sounds interesting to me. Visitor Q, from what I've heard, I'm like, I think I'm good. I kind of said, I feel like it's going to be, if we did watch it, there would be only two results. Either, oh, that was unpleasant. Wow. Weird night. Or we watch it and go, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of underwhelming and not even like just gross and underwhelming, you know? Like, I feel like there's no result where we're like, yeah, man, I'm glad we watched this movie together. Like, good night, everyone. No, it's just gonna be like, oh. It's like, and we watch an episode of One Piece for everyone. It's like, all right, One Piece, and now it's time for
maybe we could like lighten like take the edge off by having like Smash Brothers after that. Maybe that should be an in-person thing, so we could at least vent our frustrations.
I don't want to watch this again.
We'll watch it.
You guys can watch it
and
by
then
yourselves.
We'll play. Yeah.
Viewers, listeners, please, if you have the stomach to watch this terrible movie, let us know in the comments if you end up watching.
I think.
Oh, but I will say big content warning. Like
big content
there's
warning.
definitely sense. Even just reading about it, there might be some sensitive, you know. So just be warned. It's not like it's not
for the faint of heart. It's also not a challenge. It's just like if you really want to punish yourself.
And I still know nothing about the movie. It's like I don't know anything about it. The only thing in my head is that this is probably just like watching a snuff film. This is like probably like just misery, like emotional misery.
Well, I don't know if I should tell you this or not tell you this, but if you see like the poster on IMDb or something, it's gonna give a big ass spoiler. I'll tell you that much.
I won't.
Oh boy, I'm gonna look.
I'm just gonna let it be a mystery, and if it happens, it happens. Like I don't want to watch it without you guys. And if you guys never want to watch it, then it means I'm never going to watch this movie.
Okay, that's fair. You're not going to watch this movie then, unless you watch it with Elvis. I'm not interested. Like, if Elvis was like, hey, it's weird and very uncomfortable, but it's good, like, it's worth seeing, then I trust him. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. Like, I'm down for, like, whatever, as long as it's like, hey, just so you know, like, this one's rough, but it is good. But he doesn't present it that way. He's like, no, I didn't really enjoy this movie. It was just sprung upon me by surprise, unpleasant surprise.
Yeah, that's the other element of it too. Obviously, I was a lot younger when I saw it and a lot less experienced in weird movies. But it was also just a complete surprise. I was assaulted with this movie. And like, I appreciate it only in the sense that it's like this trauma that I get to have now. Like, it's something I get to own. I don't think, but in no way is like that a positive reflection of the movie's quality.
It reminds me of, I think the story is true, like the story behind Gigas and Earthbound, if you know that story.
Yeah.
Like how it was created. Like that to me, it seems like this is your kind of Gigas memory, right? Of like, oh, this just very out of nowhere, weren't expecting it. It's just occupies this sort of unpleasant, shocked space in your brain. Like, I can see that.
I'm also like worried. What if I go back and I like see something in it that I didn't before, and I'm like, you know what? I do connect to this movie now.
Oh no!
I don't want to have that reality.
Oh God. Well. We talked a lot about this movie, but anyway, overall though, it's been really good watching all these like movies. It's feel like it's been a great like filling in gaps of stuff I've been meaning to see, and a really good balance of like never heard of this. Oh, this is interesting, like that sort of thing. And it's also just fun to like come up with like, ooh, we got to come up with more movies. Like it makes me want to watch more movies like on my own to bring to the table, but it also makes me go, I've seen a lot more movies than I I remember like some people you just talk to them, they're like, I've seen 5 movies, and it's like, you've seen 5 movies, like wait.
And one of them is Amelie.
Right. But like for us, we've all clearly seen like a lot, and so it's fun. Like one thing that I'll always love to have always loved talking to Elvis about is just movies, right? Just like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And this has been a great way to finally bridge a lot of the we've both seen this, and and Dave also brings a really interesting stuff to the table as well. So.
Like next week, Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait,
dude. Yeah, I'm down.
But
yeah.
I was gonna say that like I just
awesome.
like I never considered myself as somebody that has like watched a lot of movies. Like I never really pictured myself as like a movie person. But like you're saying, someone, it's like going through this, like, you know, I feel like a little bit better about my movie lexicon. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I have seen like, you know, a fair amount of movies. Like I'm not the uncultured swine that I've sort of, you know, thought myself to be.
I was just saying, you absolutely deserve to have a Fight Club poster on your bedroom wall, Dave. You are definitely a movie guy.
You're a movie guy. Oh, The Dark Knight was very incredible.
Jesus Christ, Vampire, the best movie that's ever been made.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I've seen, you know, all the movies everyone's seen, like, you know, Run Lola Run." I'm like, Run Lola Run is not a movie that everyone has seen. Like, that's, you know, that is respectable. Like, you know, like you kind of talked about yourself as if like your favorite movie is like The Avengers or something. Nothing wrong with that. No, I don't want to sound like an ultra snob, but you know what I mean. Just like, oh, like I only watch like Marvel movies and that's it. Like, no, like you have a pretty wide like lexicon of films you've seen. So but I think also, you know, even though at this point we probably do like sound like a bunch of snobs, I think what's great about all three of us is that we do have an appreciation for like big blockbusters, right? Or just like mains. I mean, you know, I love
Tom Hanks Giving. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like for us, I think it's just about what do we like? What are good movies? Doesn't have to be only like, you know, super. Like we watched Jaws, you know, because I hadn't seen it. Like it's just all about watching those good ass movies, and yeah, maybe I'll have to have you guys on to like maybe after a while later and just recap some of the other ones we've seen by that point. But why don't we wrap it up here? Elvis, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Elvis Kaboom. And I have a YouTube channel that's linked there. It's youtube.com/Splot Studios, SPLOT. I have a lot of short films there. You can find the Tom Hanks Giving podcast there if you want to keep hearing more movie talk. And I don't know, a bunch of other shit and stuff that's it's probably still long in the pipeline even when this comes out, but some pretty cool stuff with these two guys involved. That's going to be coming out eventually.
Either it's coming out or it's out, so we'll see. But yeah, go check the channel. Check it every day. All right, and Dave,
you guys can find me online anywhere under the name Scrotum Nose. For some reason, nobody has taken the name, and it's just free for me to use. I can't believe it.
Did you tell me your username?
Your nose is scrotum. But yeah, it's Scrotum Nose everywhere. I post art. I like to cook a lot of food, and you know, I am an artist, but I think I post more food than I do art, which some could argue is also art. But yeah, yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
So if you want to follow me for, you know, art and food, then Scrotum Nose is where to go.
Also watch Craig of the Creek.
Yeah, Craig of the Creek.
Yes.
Cartoon Network, HBO Max. It's a great show, and I'm in it too, so that's another reason to watch it.
Where can people find you, someone?
There's this like ProZD or whatever. You know, it's
Prozd, right?
Channel
Prozd.
I thought it was Prozd.
Prozac. You can watch the Prozac channel. Yeah, although he doesn't do any skits, so.